Up everyone? Chapters 13, 14, and 15. Numbers 13, 14, and 15. We'll get those done today. God bless. We here reading the Bible. 13, 14, and 15 is where we're at today. 3 chapters a day because every day you should spend a little bit of time with Jesus. All right. Thank you, Father God, for bringing us all here today. Thank you for putting lungs in our body and air inside of them. Thank you for providing for us today like you've provided for us all other days abundantly. Thank you for doing all things. I pray that you speak through me today, and I pray that all who are meant to see this message hear it. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So, chapter 13. All right. Yo, you were signed to not signed, I am signed to the UFC. Like, I'm still a part of the UFC. I fight for the UFC. I'm actually under contract negotiation for the UFC. I'm just injured, so I haven't fought for a second. I won my last fight, and then I was scheduled to fight again, but I needed shoulder surgery, so I got the shoulder surgery. And now I'm looking to fight maybe in July. All right. How long did it take to get signed? I got signed, well, I started training in 2015, the very end of 2014. I started training like in November of 2014. Then they tried to sign me in 2018, but they tried to sign me the day after I had shoulder surgery on my other shoulder, and I had to tell them no. So technically, it took them for 3 years and some change to get signed to the UFC from starting from scratch. No training previously. So it was quick, but apparently that doesn't happen, and I'm a rarity. And it was all by the grace of God, because stuff like that just doesn't happen. But to get to the Bible. So chapter 13 is about verses 1 through 16 is about the 12 tribal leaders are selected to go from Paran to spy out the land of Canaan and bring back a report concerning the quality of land and the morale of its inhabitants, probably with intention of strengthening the faith of the Israelites. And then verse number 2 is a reminder that the land has been promised to God, promised by God. And then 4 through 16 is a list of the tribal leaders. All right, yeah. So let's get into it. I give you hope. Man, I shouldn't be giving you anything. The only person who should be giving you hope is Jesus, man. Because, like I said, I am nothing special. It's all him. And, I love what you do, too. Being you. All right, so the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Send me to spy out the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel. From each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a chief among them." So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord, and all of them men who were heads of the people of Israel, and these were their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammua, from the son of Zakur; from the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori; from the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Jephunneh from the tribe of Issachar, Egal, the son of Joseph, from the tribe of Ephraim, Hoshea, the son of Nun, from the tribe of Benjamin, Palti, the son of Raphu, from the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sodi, from the tribe of Joseph, that is from the tribe of Manasseh, Gadi, the son of Susi, from the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gemali, from the tribe of Asher, Sether, the son of Michael, from the tribe of Naphtali, Nabi, the son of Vosi, from the tribe of Gad, Giul, the son of Maki. These were the names of the men from Moses who sent to spy out the land, and Moses called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Joshua. What's up, guys? Reading the Bible, because Jesus is awesome. So, now in verses 17 through 24, we're going to be talking about the spies cover 220 miles, the region south of Beersheba, right up to the north. Sorry, this is just go talking about where they're at. Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, go up into the Negeb and go up into the hill country and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there is trees in it or not. Be of good courage, and bring some of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the season. So they went up and spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin to Rehob near the Lebo Hamath. They went up into the Negeb and came to Hebron. Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the descendants of the Anak, were there. Hebron was built 7 years before Zon in Egypt, and they came to the valley of Eshcol and cut down from there a branch with a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. Also brought some pomegranates and figs. This place was called the Valley of Eshcol because of the cluster that the people of Israel cut down from there. Let's see what else we got to say right here. So Hebron is about, so for just insider information here, the season of first ripe grapes that they mentioned of is around July, late July. Shout out to my brother, who's born July 30th. So somewhere around his birthday. Hebron is about 20 miles south of Jerusalem. Theologically, it is very significant as the burial place of patriarchs and their wives, and a place where God has promised the land of Abraham forever. The descendants of Anak in Hebrew means neck, and Anakim were famous for their height. Zoan is Tanis in the Nile Delta. It was a capital of Egypt in the time of Israelites' monarchy, but this verse must be referring to its early history. Tanis was founded in the early second millennium, and excavations at Hebron demonstrate that the first fortified city dates to Middle Bronze second periods, that's 2000 to 1750 BC. The correspondence of dating is striking. When the Israelites first arrived in Kadesh, Moses dispatched 12 spies to scout out the promised land of Canaan. For 40 days, the spies traveled throughout Canaan from the Negeb to Rehob and back again, a distance of 500 miles. Dang, so those 12 spies, like, I don't know, you can see real quick. They was like all up this map right here. That's 500 miles that's crazy work. But when God tell you to do something, it's best that you just do it, you know? All right, so verse 23 mentions, and they came to the valley of Eshcol. Eshcol cannot be precisely located, but grapes grow well into the Hebron area. So we don't even know where that is technically. And then as far as 25 through 33 to end, the verses that end this chapter, 33, okay, got it. It is talking about the spies' report of their mission. So the spies come back and they tell them what was going on. This report covers the same as the ground as the narration, but whereas the narrative is straightforward and factual, the spies' accounts a lurid and exaggerated, calculated to dismay the hearers. Notice that the description of the cities as fortified and very large, and the long list of inhabitants. Archaeological excavation has confirmed that some Canaanite cities of the late Bronze Age were large and heavily defended. For example, the city of Hazar consisted of an upper city of 26 acres and a lower city of 160 acres. Jesus, that's a lot. An acre is huge. 26 acres and then 160 acres. That's a big place. Estimates put the population at 40,000. Its defense walls were massively built of stone and mud brick. Some walls were measured as wide as 24 feet. Spies claim that the land devours its inhabitants, and to cap it off, the tall Anakites are descendants from the Nephilim, and therefore must be quite invincible. Given the exaggerated tone of the spies' account, the reference to Nephilim is most likely an expression of fear and excuse for the disobedience, rather than an accurate statement indicating the Nephilim were still living after the flood. Scholars generally accept the location of Kadesh is modern Tel Ain El Kedariot. This site, however, has revealed no remains before the 10th century. This lack of evidence has been explained in a number of ways. The identification may be incorrect. Earlier remains may not have been discovered yet, or 3 groups of on the move, like the Israelites, may have left no remains to be discovered. So let's go in there and actually read this a little bit. Okay. And then I'll stop before I get there. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from spying out of the land, and they came into Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, "We came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the large land or in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of the Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the Negeb, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan." But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and occupy it." I disconnected for a second. What verses are we reading? We're in Numbers, the end of chapter 13. We're like in this section of 25 to 32, and then we're going to get into chapter 14 and 15 as well. Where were we? Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, "Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are all well able to overcome it." Then the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are." So they brought to the people of Israel a bad report of the land, and they had spied out, saying, "The land through which we have gone to spy it out is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great height, and there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim, and we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." So it says right here in that last spot, 31, "We are not able to go against the people, for they are stronger than we are." The statement reflects lack of faith in the Lord, for the spies are evaluating the situation only from a human's perspective. As a result, they have no courage. By contrast, trust in the Lord would produce genuine courage, as it does when the people of Israel are given second opportunity to enter conquer the promised land after 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Very true. So they send these spies out. God is literally walking with them at this point. God is providing for them every single day. He's giving them water. He's giving them food. He's giving them everything. Like it's impossible for them to go hungry. They're just being provided for. They know all of this stuff, right? And they see some giants, and they're like, "Yeah, there's no way we could beat those guys." It's like, dude, God just like opened the Nile, or the sea, and allowed you to cross through it, and then crashed the water on the Pharaoh that was following you guys, and you think you can't beat some giants? That's crazy talk. No kind of respect or faith in God right there from these spies that went out. And then, like I said, scholars debate on if they were actually giants or not. They haven't allegedly found any giants, like bones or anything in that area is what they're saying. So they're like, as for if there's giants there or not, it seems unlikely is what the scholars are saying in these comments. But so it sounds, they're trying to paint the picture that these guys were just kind of scared and were telling them, I mean, maybe they just saw a bunch of people. They just for some reason didn't think that they were going to be able to beat those guys. So they tried to paint a picture that was of something that they figured in their head would scare everybody else from even wanting to go that way. And that's why they're like, yeah, there was giants and they were eating people. And yeah, we're like grasshoppers to them. But yeah, who knows? Were there giants there? Maybe. We haven't found any records. So it is a bit ambiguous still. So now the people rebel. Chapter 14. We're going to do 14 and then 15. So yeah, just a few more pages for today. Chapter 14, little commentary. This section, 1 through 12, is about the people react very strongly to the pessimistic view of their prospects. Their comments challenge both God's purpose and his power. God has promised them the land, but they dismiss it impossible and suggest choosing a new leader to bring them back to Egypt. Crazy talk. Let's get into it. Then all the congregation raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, would that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would that we have died in the wilderness? Why is the Lord bringing us into this land to fall by the sword? Our wives and our little ones will become a prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to one another, let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly and the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had spied out of the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation and the people of Israel, the land which we passed through to spy it out is exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. And only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. Then all the congregation said to stone them with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will the people despise me? And how long will they not believe in me in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with pestilence and disinherit them, and I will make of a nation greater and mightier than they. So yeah, man, it really blows my mind that the Israelites just kind of do this, man. They're literally walking with God, being protected, being provided for. They hear this little story and they're like, we should have just died in Egypt. Oh, we should have just died in the wilderness. Woe is me. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's going to send us to die over here. It's like, dude, God has done so much for you every single day, and you're still surviving, and you're gonna all of a sudden be like, oh, but he won't be able to do that for me. They're like, dude, just believe in God. He's shown that you're in good hands. Like, why question it at all? Have a good night, brother. Thanks for always sharing the word. Good night, man. God bless. Sweet dreams. I pray God gives you protection while you sleep. Just takes care of you. May His will be done in your life. Okay, so then that's that. Then it says that, okay, so verses 6-9, Joshua and Caleb rightly term the population reaction rebellion against the Lord, the urge of them in the face. So yeah, so Joshua and Caleb are like, come on guys, like God's been providing for us. So they try to be the voice of reason. Verse 6, it says that they tore their clothes. That's a sign of grief. And then verse 18, if the Lord delights in us, He will bring us into the land and give it to us. This statement from Joshua and Caleb stands in stark contrast to the cowardly statement from other spies. So like they are for God. They're like, nah, man, you guys are tripping. Like God's been protecting us this whole time. And so like they're like trying to be that voice of reason, even though the world is kind of like, nah, God's not here for us. Or not the world, but the rest of the tribes. And then the gravity of the sin marked by God's proposal to destroy the nation is started again with Moses. A similar throw was made. And so 11 and 12 says, and the Lord said to Moses, how long will this people despise me? So God is talking to Moses going, how long will this people despise me? How long will they not believe in me? God's like, what's up with this, man? What do I got to do to like make these guys believe in me? Jeez. He said, Jesus. And then 13-19, I'm about to get into right now. All right, so 13-19, Moses pleads for forgiveness. Moses prays here as he did after making the golden calf, acting as often a covenant mediator. He points out that were God to fulfill his threat to annihilate Israel, the nation would say that the Lord was not able to bring the people into the land. He reminds God that he promised Abraham that his descendants would inherit the land. And finally, he quotes God's own description of his character to prove that he ought to forgive him. So let's get into that. So, but Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people in your might from among them, and they will tell the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, O Lord, are in the midst of the people for you. O Lord, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands over them, and you go before them in a pillar of cloud day by day and a pillar of fire by night. Now, if you kill this people as one man, the nations who have heard your fame will say, it is because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land that he swore to give to them, that he was killed them in the wilderness. And now, please let the power of the Lord be great, as you promised, saying, the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers and the children of the third and fourth generation. Please pardon the iniquity of people according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you forgave the people from Egypt until now. You can compare the story of the Israelites with our life. Like, we don't know his miracles, but I say that all the time, that it's very easy to read this and be like, man, the Israelites were tripping. They don't know how good they got it and da-da-da-da. But it's really like looking at yourself, because you do it all the time. If you took a second to take a step back, you would realize all the things that God has done for you, and you still sin sometimes, right? And you still, like, basically, honestly, kind of spit in God's face, because you know what. It's different if you don't know what you're doing is not a sin. But if you know it's a sin and you still do it anyways, even knowing what he's done for, and these people even haven't even had Jesus come and die for their sins yet, right? So we're like a whole nother level of kind of spit in God's face when we decide to do it. We decide to do it anyways. We really aren't deserving of anything that Jesus did for us, and God for that matter, as far as just creating it all and putting it in motion and just having everything be provided for us, abundantly taken care of. And even then, he forgives us. And this right here it reminds me of the same way when God is talking to Abraham, going like, I'm going to get rid of Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham's like, whoa, come on, God. What if there's some good people in there? Moses does a very similar thing right here where he's like, hey, like, come on, God, let's take care of them and da-da-da. But I feel like when in this situation, when God's like, like, oh man, I've had it with these guys, I'm just going to get rid of them. It's like, obviously, he knows he's not going to do it. He knows Moses is going to have this conversation with them and he's going to ask for forgiveness and all that stuff. But it's kind of just like, we are the Israelites. God is creator, yet we always look elsewhere for answers. I'm very guilty of this. Yeah, hey, we all are. We all are. What was I saying? It's kind of like a show and a test for Moses in it and his character to continue to be a good leader. And like God wants Moses to step up and do that for his people. That's why I feel like he voices his opinion on the thing. And then just on a, I don't know if this is true or not, right? But on a slightly more kind of human aspect of it, if we're going to give God a human characteristic, which I don't know if he has it or not, but what it reminds me of is just like, like when you're just thinking out loud and you're like, oh man, or like you have a kid, your kid's really misbehaving and you're just like, oh, I'm about to kick this kid's butt, I feel like that's what he's doing to Moses. He's like, oh man, I'm gonna kick these guys' butts. They're not listening at all. And obviously he's like not gonna do it. Not to that extent of like just wiping them out. And then Moses is like, whoa. It's not like, kick their butt too bad. But all right, so to continue going into it. So right here, this next part from verse 20 to 35. We are going to be talking about God's response to Moses' prayer. And then God's response is somewhat surprising. On the one hand, he declares, I have pardoned according to your word. He has drawn back from destroying Israel immediately. But that does not mean they can go ahead with their planned entry to Canaan. In fact, the disobedient Israelites will get what they asked for. They wanted to return to Egypt. They are told to go to the wilderness by the Red Sea. They said that they did not want to enter the land because they would die there. They are told they will never enter it but die in the wilderness. They feared that their little ones would become prey, but it is their children who in 40 years' time will enter the land. So, and then in 21 it says, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord. God's purpose will not be defeated by the human failure. He will certainly fulfill them. So, just 20 to 35. All right. So to get into it, then the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word, but truly as I live and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of the men who have seen my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt in the wilderness, and yet have put me on the test these 10 times and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I swore to give to their fathers. And none of those who despised me shall see it, but my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and he has followed me fully, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now since the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valleys, turn tomorrow and set out for the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation gamble against me? I have heard this grumble against me. I have heard this grumbling, and of the people of Israel, which they grumble against me. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what have you said in my hearing I will do to you? Your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and of all your number listed in the census from the 20-year-olds and upward who have grumbled against me, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua the son of Nun, but your little ones who you said would become a prey, I will bring in, and they shall know the land that you have rejected. But as for you, your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and your children shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithlessness until the last of your dead bodies lie in the wilderness, according to the number of the days in which you spied out the land. 40 days, a year for each day, and you shall bear your iniquity 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure. I, the Lord, have spoken. Surely this will I do to all this wicked congregation who are gathered together against me in the wilderness. They shall come to a full end, and they shall die. And there they shall die. So, like I said, all these Israelites in the tribe are going like, oh, we should have just, God's just bringing us in. We're never going to make it to that land. If we go there, we're going to die. The giants are going to kill us. There's no way we're going to survive. We should have just went back to Egypt. He should have just killed us in the wilderness. And God is a God of free will and free choice. So he's just like, all right, instead of killing them, for just being extremely, disobedient really, and like lacking faith in him, Moses was like, don't do that. Like, you forgive them. And God's like, you're right. I'm just going to give them what they want, or, what they're saying they wish they had. So he's like, you're just those guys, all those people that were like that, all those people that walked with me and seen me provide for them every day. I'm just going to give them what they want. They're going to just be near Egypt in the wilderness. I'm going to give them both. And that's where they're going to stay. That's where they're going to die. They're not going to make it to the land of milk and honey, but their kids will. Because their kids, they're innocent. They thought their kids were going to become prey. I'm going to make sure their kids do not become prey and actually reach that promised land. So yeah. Now, 36 to 38 is the death of the faithless spies. Though all the adult Israelites were warned that they would die in the wilderness, the 10 faithless spies who had incited the national apostasy died by plague. Ironically, the use one of the same Hebrew words used to reference the Egyptian plague, Magipah. A similar fate befell many of those involved in the idolatry of the golden calf. The story of the spies illustrates an important principle. When God forgives sin, he does not always eliminate the consequence of sin. In the case of Israel, God's forgiveness meant that it remained the people of God in a corporate sense. The covenant made at Sinai that the Lord would be their God and that Israel would be his people was maintained, yet the people still suffered for their sin. They did not enter Canaan, but died in the wilderness. So, and then the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing up a bad report about the land. The men who brought up a bad report of the land died by plague before the Lord. Oh, of those men who went to spy out the land, only Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive. So it's because he was saying that he was going to give them a plague and he was going to kill them, all the people of Israel. Moses is like, chill out, let's not do this. And God's like, you're right, I'm not going to do it to all of them. I'm going to let these guys get what they want and just be in the desert, lost in the wilderness outside of Egypt and die there, because that's what they keep on saying they're going to do. So I'm just going to let them have that. And then he's just like, except for their kids, I'm going to make sure their kids get there because the kids are kind of innocent. And then, but those people who truly have the blame of making the people turn even more against him were those people that were spies and went and brought these reports back saying that it was impossible. And those people instilled all this fear into the rest of the Israelites. And those people still got the plague. It's very, I've said it a couple times before, but it seems like God gets rid of the people that are kind of like cancerous, the ones that are really changing the people, right? Because like the Israelites, and not just the Israelites, just the people of the world are kind of easily manipulated, it seems, and they're changed and they're turned. And that's kind of like why he got rid of Sodom and Gomorrah, why the flood happened in the first place. There was all this evil, and if that evilness didn't just kind of get like cut out, it would spread even more and more and more and more and more. So those people, he had to remove them because they were the people causing all the problems. But now they're gone. And then now an interesting thing is going to happen where it's going to be a generation raised after just seeing their family wander around for 40 years. So it's going to take a lot more faith to believe in God at this point versus these guys who were literally there when God was doing plagues in Egypt, splitting the sea, like saving them out of Egypt, doing all these miraculous things. There's going to be generations after. Those are the people that are going to get in. So they didn't even firsthand see what God is doing for them or what God did for them. And they're going to have to rely on faith way more than the faith of their parents, who, even being firsthand there, was still falling super short of the ability to just have faith. Okay, so the men who brought up a bad report died by the plague. So I just talked about that. But the men are a prime example of unbelief within a covenant people and must be removed. Thus God judged the leaders because the disastrous effect of their bad report made the congregation grumble against Moses. Yeah, so I mean, kind of already said that. And then 39 through 45. I'm about to read that right now, but it's despite the death of the spies and despite Moses telling the people that they must die in the wilderness and not enter the land, they attempt a conquest. Their defeat, ironically, at the hands of the Amalekites, the Canaanites, fulfills Moses' warning. So let's get into that. Israel defeated in battle. When Moses told these words to all the people of Israel, the people mourned greatly, and they rose early in the morning and went up to the heights of the hill country, saying, "Here we are. We will go up to the place that the Lord has promised, for we have sinned." But Moses said, "Why now are you transgressing the command of the Lord when that will not succeed? Do you not go up, for the Lord is not among you, lest you be struck down before your enemies." So they hear what God told Moses. Moses reports back to him, and they're like, "Whoa! Don't take that away from us. Like, all right, we believe you now. Let's go get those guys." And Moses is like, "Well, don't go now. God already says that, that's what you're gonna do. You can't just decide to go when you want. God's saying that's not for you no more. This is just for your kids now. Y'all messed up." And they decide to go find him anyways. "Do not go, for the Lord is not among you, lest you be struck down before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are facing you, and you shall fall by their sword. Because you have turned back from not following the Lord will not be with you." But they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill country, although neither the ark of the covenant of the Lord nor Moses departed out of the camp. And then that's interesting right there, right? They are saying they're going to do it anyways, and they don't travel with Moses, who's a prophet of the Lord, or the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, which is like the tabernacle, right? Which is like God's throne. So that second, that conquest that they're trying to do is literally, they're trying to do it by their own hand. They're trying to do it without God. So God's not going to protect you when you're trying to do things by yourself and try to force something to happen. And surely enough, the Amalekites, the Canaanites who lived in that hill country, came down and defeated them and pursued them even to Hormah. And does it say what that is? No. And I have no idea what Hormah is. Oh, it says right here. Let's go into it. 1445. Yes. The Amalekites and the Canaanites came down and defeated them. In disobeying Moses' command, the Israelites presumed to take matters into their own hands. Rather than accomplishing God's purposes, they encounter his judgment. Hormah, meaning destruction, is a village of the southern border of Canaan. Oh, so it must have not been a good place, because it literally got called to destruction later. Anything is nothing without God in it. Amen. Facts. Preaching. All right, so we're going to finish this next chapter 15. And then I think I'm going to try to go hit legs, because Select day. The Lord, all right, so let's go. So 1 through 41, this next chapter, I think that's the whole thing, 41 verses, yes. The commentary is saying that at each place where Israel encamped for a long time, laws were given at Sinai, at Kadesh, and the plains of Moab. The Kadesh laws are the briefest and are mainly clarification of the Sinai laws. So I guess this next chapter is just the laws about sacrifices. 1 through 16 are about meal, oil, and wine to accompany your sacrifice. It gives you a whole breakdown of all that. All right, I'll read that part too, which explains how each type of sacrifice is to be. So 1 through 7 explains how each type of sacrifice is to be conducted. It does not explain that burnt offerings, that has already been mentioned, and peace offerings already been mentioned also in Leviticus, must be accompanied by an appropriate quantity of meal, oil, and wine. This may be because such materials were not available in the wilderness, but when you come into the land, the situation will be different. Then those other products will be available, and along with animal sacrifices must be offered to God. The imagery of sacrifice is drawn from that of a meal. The worshiper must act as a generous host and give to God all that he would give an important guest. It was not that God needed food, but these gifts showed the worshiper's devotion. The giving of these laws at this point is very telling. The entry into Canaan has just been delayed 40 years, and an attempt to enter has failed. So the question could be asked, would Israel even enter the promised land at all? These laws emphatically answer yes. It is not a question of if they will enter the land, but when they will come in. In this way, the laws reaffirm the land promise. Further, the continuing instructions show that God has indeed retained Israel as his people, but more than that, the laws are an assurance that their harvest in the land would be abundant, as they stipulate that large quantities must be offered with each animal. The sacrifice of the lamb must be accompanied by about half a gallon of flour, a quart of oil, and a quart of wine. At least double quantities are needed for a bull. And these next verses, 14 through 16, after that, Gentile immigrants to offer sacrifices as long as they follow the same rules of the Israelites. So let's get to verses 1 through 16, and then I'll go over the next commentary thing. And if I add something, I'll add something. I want to be regular for this study. Do you have a specific time you go live? You know what, man? Unfortunately, my schedule's all over the place, so I just kind of do it when I can. It usually ends up being at, a lot of the time, it's at night around this time, between like 10 to 11 or even 11 to 12. It's sometime, a lot of the time, it's usually in this time frame. But, I mean, even if you don't, I always post it on my actual page. I post a bunch of other stuff on my Gifted Gabe page too, but I have a Gifted Ministry page. And if you just go to that, you'll see just like all the stuff that I talk about that is Jesus related. So it's a little easier to just find that if it's something you're looking for, or like, you know, you want to see if you're all caught up or not. And I usually put the chapters that I read on it, so you can you'll be able to see it. All right, so let's get into this. And yeah, like, so I'm gonna go up to verse 17 and then I'll pause again. So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land you are to inhabit, which I am giving you, and you offer to the Lord from the herd or from the flock a food offering or a burnt offering or a sacrifice to fulfill a vow or a freewill offering, or at your appointed feast to make a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Then he who brings his offering shall offer to the Lord a grain offering of 1/10 of an ephah of a fine flour, mixed with 1/4 of a hin of oil, and you shall offer with a burnt offering, or for the sacrifice 1/4 of hin of a wine, for a drink offering for each lamb, or for a ram you shall offer for a grain offering 2/10 of the ephah of a fine flour, mixed with 1/3 of a hin of oil, and for the drink offering you shall offer 1/3 of a hin of wine, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And when you offer a bull as a burnt offering, or a sacrifice to fulfill a vow, or for a peace offering to the Lord, then one shall offer with the bull a grain offering of 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with half a hin of oil, and you shall offer for the drink offering half a hin of wine as a food offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Thus it shall be done for each bull or ram, or for each lamb a young goat. As many of you offer, so shall you do with each one, as many as there are. Every native Israelite shall do these things in this way, in offering a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And if a stranger is sojourning with you, or anyone is living permanently among you, and he wishes to offer a food offering with a pleasing aroma to the Lord, he shall do as you do. For the assembly there shall be one statute for you and for the strangers who sojourns with you, as a statute forever throughout your generations. You and your sojourners shall be alike before the Lord. One law, one rule shall be for you and for the stranger who sojourns with you. So again, even with God telling them that they're not going to make it to the land of milk and honey, like not that generation, he still got all these rules for them. So it's easy to, or you can see that like he still got plans for them. Like God is still walking with them. He's making them walk a little longer as punishment, but he is still there. And so it's like, it's going to bring this question into the Israelites' head that are like, they were already kind of questioning him, and now they're continuing to do this. And God's letting them know, like, look, I'm going to get you in there, but now I'm going to get you in there and, like, you know, when you guys are, like, your kids. So it's going to be a question, are their kids going to be kind of truly choosing God and continuing to do something that they kind of have, like, they know he's around, they see God every day, but he's not, like, he's kind of put him through this, what's going to be 40 years, right? 40 years of doing everything that God's telling them to do before they can get to that, the promised land. Now, so it's going to be like that, you know, like if you've been doing something for 40 years, that's a long time, with no kind of, yes, they've been getting taken care of. Yes, they've been being provided for the same as the other ones or the generations before. But if they keep on saying like, oh, this promised land is coming, and it's 40 years of not getting there, that's a long time to do something without like reaping the benefits basically of doing what you're doing. So there's going to be like, there's going to be two kind of main thinkings of that. It's going to be like on a, like if they have gratitude, it's going to be understanding that they are being taken care of, that they are in good hands, and they just going to kind of full on just like what we should do, just kind of relinquish all power over your life and be like, God, it's yours. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And I know I'm going to get to where I'm supposed to be when I'm supposed to be there. Those people, they're going to be great. But there's, you know, there could very well be some people who are just don't want to do what God wants them to do and don't care to do it because they're not seeing the finish line, or it's not happening at the time that they want it to happen. Okay, so 17 through 21, these few verses that come up next, goes over the dough offering, the book of Leviticus, goes over to it and insists that the first fruits of the crops must be given to God The principle is now extended to baking. The first dough is given to the priest. Observant Jews today still remember this rule when they bake by throwing a small lump of dough into the fire. So yeah, when it comes to the first fruits of the crops that are mentioned in Leviticus beforehand, it's like when you get some new crops, the first thing you do is be like, God, these ones are yours, because I wouldn't have been able to grow any of these without you. So now it's being extended to baking. So if you're going to go bake something, you take that dough and you be like, God, this is your dough. Very similar to tithes and like all that stuff too. Like if you get something and it is like you get paid, right? You take some of that money and you be like, you put some to the side and you give it to God, because it's like, this is your money, God. I didn't even deserve this money. You made this money happen, so I'm going to give you this money first, and you give it back to God. All right, but to get into these actual verses, it says, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land to which I bring you, and when you eat the bread of the land, you shall present a contribution to the Lord. On the first of your dough you shall present a loaf as a contribution, like a contribution from the threshing floor, so shall you present it. Some of the first of your dough you shall give to the Lord as contribution throughout your generations. So like I said, he just added the dough part. Verses 22 through 31. That's almost going to be the rest of this, but this section is about the laws about unintentional sins. Sacrifice for unintentional sins by mistake, unpremeditated sins, or sins done when the person did not know the action was sinful, may be atoned for by an offering of sin. And then chapters 22 through 26, or verses, these verses recall the rule of the sin of the congregation, and then 27 through 29 is the rules for an individual person. Minor changes from Leviticus are introduced. The congregation must offer a bull and a goat, not just a bull, while the individual may offer only a female goat, a year old. The reason for these changes is unclear. The fact that the sacrifice must be given from the person who makes a mistake or who sins unintentionally implies that such sin still requires atonement, though it is not counted to be as serious as a willful sin. An immigrant may also seek atonement for unintentional sin. Okay, so let's get into it. 22 through 31. But if you sin unintentionally and do not observe all these commandments that the Lord has spoken to Moses, all that the Lord has commanded you by Moses from the day of the Lord gave commandment and onward throughout your generations, then if it was done unintentionally without the knowledge of the congregation, all the congregation shall offer one bull from the herd for a burnt offering, a pleasing aroma to the Lord, with its grain offering and its drink offering according to the rule, and the one male goat for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of people of Israel, and they shall be forgiven because it was a mistake, and they have brought their offering, a food offering to the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord for their mistake. And all the congregation of the people of Israel shall be forgiven, and the stranger who sojourns among them, because the whole population was involved in the mistake. If one person sins unintentionally, he shall offer a female goat, a year old, for a sin offering, and the priest shall make an atonement before the Lord for the person who makes a mistake when he sins unintentionally, to make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven. You shall have one blah for him who does anything unintentionally, for him who is native among the people of Israel, and for the stranger who sojourns among them. But the person who does anything with a high hand, whether he is native or sojourner, reviles the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of the Lord and has broken his commandment. The person shall utterly cut his iniquity shall be on him. So, sins committed with a high hand must refer to a deliberate, intentional sin, since these are contrasted with unintentional sins. A high hand suggests lifting up a hand in defiance against the Lord, and such a sin cannot be atoned for. Those who sin consciously and deliberately shall be cut off. Suddenly and mysterious punishment. So it doesn't explain exactly what that means by cut off, but you can think of it kind of the way I see it is like, I mean, you're probably getting cut out the tribe, or just cut off from the Lord's presence, which makes sense of you getting cut out of the tribe because the God is like literally walking with them. And so like it's okay to sin on accident, but when you're sinning and you know you're sinning and you choose to sin anyway, that's when the problem is. And when I mean it's okay to sin on accident, I don't mean it's like completely okay. It's just not as bad as, like, you're not getting excommunicado when you're sinning on accident. You can atone for that, and they can make things that we can fix things. That God's going to give you some leeway. But in the Old Testament, when you're walking with God, if you were just outright doing it when you weren't supposed to be doing it, that's when it says that that person shall be utterly cut off. His iniquity shall be on him. Where are you reading from tonight? Tonight I am reading from Numbers. We're going through the whole thing, so just a couple chapters at a time. I do 3 chapters at least a day, and we are just finishing chapter 15. I'm gonna post this though, so if you missed it, you'll be able to watch the whole thing. I'm on this last little section. We got verses 32 through 36 to end it of chapter 15. So a Sabbath breaker is executed. That's this section. The commentary says, these seems to be a case of sinning with a high hand, and publicly too, so that the offenders actually executed, not just left to be cut out, which applied only when the offender escaped human detection. In this case, it is clear that the man has sinned, since all the work on Sabbath is prohibited, including lighting a fire. However, in this case, the people did not know what his punishment should be. It had not been made clear what should be done to him. The mode of his execution underlines the importance of observing the Sabbath. Let's read. Hold on. While the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man. Oh, I got a couple. I thought it was going to be done. I actually got a little longer in this chapter than I thought. That's just this next section. I got 37 to 41 before the chapter's over. But, where are we at? This seems to be, I already read that. So, while the people of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day, and those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron, and to all his congregation. They put him in custody because it has not been made clear what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. And all the congregation brought him outside the camp and stoned him to death with stones, as the Lord commanded Moses. So yeah, cut off, especially on the Sabbath, was meaning that you was cut. Now 37 to 41, or 40, 37 to 41. Is almost the rest of this. Oh, it is. I thought it was 49. 37 to 41 is my next little section, and that ends chapter 15. And just to talk about the God allowing death to occur to these people, somebody, but it's not really killing if you're bringing someone back to be who the maker is. He's the one who created all things, so he's kind of held to a different standard. But much like I mentioned before, you got to think like God's laid down these rules, and he's trying to make sure that there is no almost like cancer that's going to spread and pull people away from him. And one of his rules is the not working on the Sabbath, and he's made it pretty clear, like, you got to follow these things. And then someone is deliberately doing what he's not, or what he's telling you not to do. So he's like, yeah, we got to go ahead and make sure that this person doesn't pull other people away from me. So we got to take him out. And then that's why he goes. All right, so this to end. Tassels on clothes. In the ancient world, tassels were worn by nobles and high-class people. In Israel, they are to be worn by everyone as a mark and their status as the chosen people. Blue was used in the tabernacle curtains in the priest vestment, so the blue threads reminded the Israelites that they were a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. This meant they had to remember and do all my commandments. In particular, they had to avoid the mistake of the spies of following after your own heart. There is a play on words with the expression to follow, for this verb means both to spy and to follow, and thus alludes to the danger found in following their own whims, that word being tur in Hebrew. Rather than being absolutely loyal to the divine commandments, it seems that the tassels, part of Jesus' clothing and observance to the requirements, and that the fringes touched the healing by the sick in Matthew's gospel, would have been tassels, since the same Greek word used for tassel in the Septuagint is also used in Matthew for tassel or fringe. Okay, so actually read it. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the people of Israel and tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a cord on the blue on the tassel of each corner. And it shall be a tassel for you to look at and remember all the commandments of the Lord and to do them, not to follow after your own heart and your own eyes, which you are inclined to whore after. So you shall remember and do all commandments and be holy to your God. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord your God. So just kind of doubling back on what I just said for the last thing. Like, he's given all these rules. He wants to make sure people are following these rules. Not following these rules made people get stuck in the wilderness in the first place. And then he just doesn't want this cancer spreading. Like those people that came back doubting God, he knew that was gonna, or did spread. It spread throughout the community, but he didn't punish those people that caused the doubt to happen. He got rid of those people who were causing the doubt. Now there's someone else who's deliberately sinning and doing against what God wishes. So he decided, all right, I gotta get rid of you too, and I gotta get stoned. And then God's like, all right, look, I got these rules for you. I got these commandments. I'm going to make sure that you guys all wear these blue tassels, because they're going to remind you that these are my commandments and you're supposed to follow them. And that's pretty much how it ends. Well, that is how chapter 15 ends. Again, blue was used as a tabernacle curtain. So the blue in particular is reminiscent of the blue that is in the tabernacle, the blue threading that was made, and all of the holiness that was amongst the tabernacle and the ark and all that stuff. But yeah, so that's chapter 15. Tomorrow we're going to hit 16, 17, and 18 at least. Maybe some extra if I got more time, but we'll see. But yeah. God bless, guys. I pray that I'll be saying this all the time, but I pray that God is with you. I know that he's with you, and I pray that you realize that he's with you. He's there with you every single day, helping you get through everything, providing for you way more than you realize you even got. So stop stressing. Don't have anxiety. Put all things on him. Know that he's protecting you, and he's going to get you wherever you need to be at the time that you're meant to be there. If you try to force things on your own and they don't align with his will, they might not work out. But all things aligned with his will. So stay on that path and you're going to be good. You know what I mean? That's what I pray. I pray every day. I say, God, take my feet. Make me step every step that I step with you. Make sure every thought in my head is a thought that is yours. Just make sure I'm staying on the path that is for me. Open doors that are for me. Don't just close, but remove doors that are not. Keep the devil away from me. Don't let him turn me. think he wants me to be at In-N-Out right now. Hey, they got the Bible verses on the stuff, so it's not a bad place to be. The Lord be there. Yeah, God's gonna put you where you're supposed to be. Just submit to his plan. Jesus, take the wheel. Let him whip around wherever you need to be, and just kind of submit to that. Know that you're always gonna be where you're supposed to be. And when things kind of don't work out, it doesn't have to be like a bad thing. It might not work out for you and your plan and the things that you want to get accomplished, but that's like all you. Life's not about like you. Submit to God's plan and you're going to be okay. God will always give you what you need. He'll give you more than what you need. He'll give you an abundance of what you need, more so than what you need. But he doesn't always give you what you want, because sometimes, a lot of the times, we don't need what we want, and he knows what's good for us. So if we want something that maybe we're not ready for, something that we can't handle, we ain't gonna get it. He's only giving us the things we need. So submit to him, let that happen. And I just pray that you guys all understand that. I pray that God walks with you. I pray that he has his hands on you. I pray that he guides you. And I pray that your hearts are all softened. And I pray that you guys just let him shape and mold you into the people that you need to be. Amen. Good night. God bless.